If you're a current member of the fitness community, you've probably seen videos of Anatoly, the janitor who always approaches the biggest gym goers to casually lift a 400-pound barbell, leaving people in shock. Anatoly is a Ukrainian YouTuber whose name is Vladimir Shmondenko. He goes to the gym dressed as a janitor and tries to lift weights other people have used. Shockingly, at just 170 pounds, Anatoly is clearly much stronger than he appears, and can usually lift hundreds of pounds with ease. But why is he actually so much stronger than he looks? Besides the obvious strength benefits of being a cleaner, Anatoly is actually a fairly strong powerlifter, boasting a maximum deadlift of 640 pounds, a squat of 460 pounds, and a bench press record of 320 pounds. All of these feats were achieved at body weights ranging from 170 to 190 pounds. While this is quite impressive at any weight, he's not as small as it might seem at first glance, as he always wears clothing that conceals his true size. If we enter his numbers into a lean mass index calculator, assuming he has around 8% body fat, we get a hefty 22.72, meaning his results are close to the maximum that natural weightlifters can achieve. But muscular strength, as in the ability to produce or sustain force, is determined by more than just muscle size, specifically by myofibrillar hypertrophy. An increased number of sarcomeres in a muscle is the primary factor responsible for increased strength. The first factor, of course, is neural adaptation, which essentially encompasses everything from the brain to muscle contraction. When you perform an activity, your brain receives feedback from your muscles about how much force to produce and which motor units to recruit. A motor unit is a nerve cell and its innervated muscle fibers. And when you generate maximum force, lifting very heavy objects, your body uses as many of these motor units as possible, so you start using different parts of your body to lift something very heavy. For example, if you're trying a new bench press, you'll likely experience some technique breakdown, whereas relatively light weights are much easier to control. But motor units require coordination, and the way they are used is adaptive. So, if you lift a heavy weight, such as a deadlift, your brain and body will adapt your technique and firing rate, which means your brain tells you to use more force more efficiently. And that's a huge part of why you can become significantly stronger even though you're not building any muscle. So essentially, Anatoly trained very hard and specifically for strength for a long time and actually competed in powerlifting. His training consists primarily of performing heavy compound exercises away from muscle failure, which will be the determining factor in how he gets stronger without gaining as much muscle mass. Because you're not giving your muscles a very strong stimulus to signal growth, you're not approaching failure, but you're still lifting heavy enough for great neural adaptations to occur. You can train this way with a very high frequency because it also causes less fatigue per set. Anatoly is also very strong for his weight because he slowly optimized his lifts. It doesn't take a genius to know that a man with technique more adapted to his own levers and muscle strength will be able to lift more than someone with the same amount of muscle, the same levers, but poor technical execution, or at least less efficient. And here you can also get into the debate between sumo technique and conventional deadlifting, because the way Anatoly performs the deadlift is much more efficient in sumo execution, especially with proper setup and use of figure-8 straps and a deadlift bar. Sumo deadlifts are much easier given the range of motion involved in sumo deadlifts. Therefore, in most powerlifting competitions, most federations use a rigid bar and do not allow straps, which significantly levels the playing field. But the men Anatoly approaches most often use a lot of bumper plates in their videos, which can make the weight seem much heavier than it actually is. To someone, it might look like Anatoly easily lifts around 500 pounds, but those plates probably don't weigh 45 pounds. They could be 15s or 25 pounds. Most experienced gym-goers will probably notice that he doesn't lift hundreds of kilograms in his videos, but considering that most people watching Anatoly aren't experienced gym-goers, it's not that easy. Some might think he's at world champion level, when in reality, Anatoly wouldn't do so well. Even in his own weight class, if we compare him to someone like Russell Orhe, the best powerlifter in the 83-kilogram category, who powerlifted 860 kilograms, which is 215 kilograms more than Anatoly, but that doesn't change the fact that he's still incredibly strong. His numbers aren't world-class when compared to true elite-level powerlifters of the same body weight.